Beanie Babies, grunge music, Nintendo vs. PlayStation, Michael Jordan's Bulls. All things that come to mind and remember in the 90s. For most people. For me, it was more about my yellow GT Interceptor, Terra Firma videos, skateboards with teeny tiny little wheels, and dirt bikes that look like they stole their color palette from a Spice Girls poster. On Christmas Day, way back in 1995, I woke up to a red bow on one of these beautiful purple and white steeds. And like so many other motorcycle fiends out there, it all started for me with that little PW50. I never really wanted my own kids to get bit by the motorcycle bug like me and my friends were growing up, and then have to deal with all the injuries and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I just don't think I can really deal with seeing them get that hurt. But anyways, a few months after we had our first son, me and my wife were just in the middle of sleepless nights, diaper changes, feedings, all that fun stuff. And my buddy Nate sent me a listing for a PW50 that was for sale up by him in Tennessee. And at first I just brushed it off, thinking, nah, I don't really want to deal with all that. But then the more I looked at it, that's the exact same year model as my first one. And it just kind of felt like destiny. And I couldn't really pass up the opportunity to do something cool like that. And so there I was with the PW50 for my kid, even though I never really planned on doing that. Luckily, Nate was nice enough to help me get the bike purchased and help me figure out how to get it transported back down here to Texas. So we got the bike, and it sat in the back of the garage for a few years. But then my son started getting really good on his little Stasic, and we finally got moved into our house where I have a shop and a good spot to work. So it's time to get started on the thing. Now, I'd be lying if I said that my mechanic skills were anything above mediocre. Probably not even that, to be honest. And here's a funny little thing where I spent a whole bunch of time getting the stock forks off and starting to pull them apart, thinking I was gonna rebuild them. Got them all cleaned up, and then somehow I didn't even realize there's a huge bend in the fork tubes, and I just wasted a whole bunch of time. Now, someone who's a much better mechanic than me probably would have started by just framing the bike, pulling the motor apart, and rebuilding the whole thing. But that's just a little out of my wheelhouse, or a lot out of my wheelhouse. So I decided what I would do is just get the thing running, and then decide if I need to rebuild the motor from there, and probably have to phone a friend named Sam, who I bug all the time when I get stumped with this kind of stuff, and he probably hates me. I started by just cleaning out the old airbox, getting a new air filter on it, new spark plug, cleaning the tank, getting some fresh fuel in it, and rebuilding the carb. And luckily the thing just fired right up and held an idle, surprisingly. And it was even hauling my fat butt up and down the driveway. So I got super lucky that the motor is actually in pretty good shape. From there, I just started cleaning all the years of grime and grease and everything off the bike, and kind of going through it and deciding what stuff I could keep, what I needed to throw away, everything like that. Ended up replacing all the usual wear items, tires, grips, plastics, all that kind of stuff. I saved the tank though, with a little bit of elbow grease, kind of a long project, but got it done. And from there, I just kind of went through the bike, ended up replacing a whole bunch of stuff. I want the thing to feel nice for him, not like I'm just giving him an old junker. So did the exhausts, the airbox, handlebars, forks, shocks, the little rubber pieces on the foot pegs, just all kinds of little stuff like that. Cables, some more stuff. And then I did a new seat cover on there, which was interesting. Seat covers can kind of go either way, but this one, I didn't want to leave a bunch of wrinkles in it. So man, I heated that thing up and stretched and pulled and stapled and unstapled and redid the thing a whole bunch of times. But luckily I finally got it pretty tight, and pretty happy with how it looks. I went into this little project really wanting to avoid doing any kind of painting because I'm not that great at it and I don't like having to do it that much. But I kind of hit some snags there, and I pretty much had to paint the forks to get the purple look like the stock one. And then the wheels were really beat up, and so I touched those up a little bit. It would have been nice to pull that stuff apart and taking it to get it powder coated, but I was just kind of down to the wire because I really wanted to get this ready for him before Christmas, and it actually turned out looking pretty good. So I'm not super disappointed with it. I wanted the bike to have that 95 PW look still. And I wasn't able to find any stock graphics, so I actually drew some up for him and had them printed. They just look like the stock ones, but I did go ahead and throw some numbers on there for him in a kind of a cool little kid font. And I put his name on the front number plate in the Yamaha font, which I kind of thought was gonna look cooler than it actually turned out, but it's all right. So this actually wound up being a pretty fun little first project in the new shop for me. And I was able to get it ready for him in time to give it to him for Christmas, which was cool. He's a little bit intimidated by the gas motor at this point, which he's young, so I may have jumped the gun on giving it to him a little early. But if he doesn't ever want to ride it, that's totally cool with me. We'll play t-ball and do all that kind of stuff. But hopefully when he's older, he can just keep this thing and look back on it and think it was something cool that we did for him. And selfishly, I think it's cool to have around the house. If he doesn't want to ride it, I'm just gonna hang it on the wall somewhere in the shop. But anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for watching.